Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MU2 web series. I am Ashley Snyder with the Event Management Office, and today Jessica is back to host with me. And we have Kristen and Kenzie with us from our marketing department. So they are here to share about some of our marketing initiatives and things that they've been working on. So Kenzie and Kristen, if you would like to do some brief introductions and then tell us a little bit more about the new marketing campaign that you've been rolling out over the last few months.
Sure. I'm Kristen Erdman. I am the communications specialist for the MU, and I focus mostly on marketing.
And I'm Kenzie Hosh. I'm the graphic designer for the Memorial Union, and I do a lot of everything. Graphics, social media, whatever is needed.
Yes, you are definitely the jack of all trades a little bit. So can you ladies talk to us more about the campaign and what led to the full rebrand?
Sure, I can start us off with that. It's really a project that's been kind of happening for a long time. We knew that we needed a new kind of brand campaign because our building is so much more than just a building, right? So sure, we have walls and we have this building, but it's also a living memorial. It's also a place where our staff members are doing a lot of programs and give a lot of services. And we needed a way to talk about all of those things in a cohesive manner so that we could kind of have shared tools and language so that we can speak with one voice. So that was kind of our charge, and we had to start at the very beginning because it had been so long since we had done that. We knew that it had to live under the Iowa State brand, so we wanted to make sure that we weren't fighting with the Iowa State University brand at all, but we did want to add something so that we could talk about the Memorial Union as well. The first step of that was really starting at the beginning with our mission, vision, and values. So a couple of years ago, we spent most of the summer working together as a staff to come up with a new mission. And it took lots of, hours and meetings. I know you two were a part of those too. It took a while for us to get our hands kind of around what that mission is going to be. But we landed on one about a year ago. That mission is that we complete the college experience by developing leadership, community, and career readiness. So once we got that in place, that kind of kicked off our brand campaign. We still had to do some research before we could get started. And we did that by talking to lots of former MU staff members, student employees, our advisory board members, anyone that we could pull aside in the hallway. And we asked three main questions. So the first one was just, who is the MU? And even with that simple question, we had a lot of different answers, everything from a building on campus to a living memorial to where Panda is. But also, we're memory makers, we're customer service experts, we're the face of the university to visitors and community members. So if you think about people outside the university, that coming to MU might be the only way, besides going to a sporting event, that they're coming onto campus. So that was our first question. The second question that we asked folks was, what do we wish people knew about the MU? This one was really important to our staff because we often feel like folks don't really understand who we are and what we do beyond being a building. I don't know, do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's hard for people to understand kind of who we are and that we're more than just the building. So answers to that question, what do we wish people knew about the MU, is that we wanted them to know all the services we provide beyond just being a food court or the Gold Star Hall. An important one was knowing the existence of Workspace, Cybele, MShop, and all of the services like event management that we have in the building. We wanted people to know that student orgs and leadership programs and arts and entertainment are all managed by staff members. And it takes a lot of money and effort and time and staff members to literally keep that roof above our heads. The third question we asked ourselves was, what makes the MU different than any other building on campus? So as other campus buildings start to add like lounge spaces and food options, we wanted to ask our audiences what continues to make the MU unique to all those other buildings on campus. And we got some great answers with that. So people talked about how this is where community members come to campus. It's a hub for student orgs. It's where you come to do what you want to do and not what you have to do. Students connect with other people here. This is the place where they're having life outside classrooms and books, and memories are forming because the experiences that they're having in the MU aren't those repetitive classes. They're getting to do their own thing here. They love having concerts and lectures and art classes, comedy. This is where they're coming to be entertained. And then another unique thing that people talked about the MU is that this is where they meet other like-minded people so that they can form community. So if you think about like ISSO, the center, the Veteran Center, other offices like that in the building, and also if you think about student orgs, so that's another place where people are coming together to meet others like them. Of course, the MU is always going to be that living memorial. And then alumni also remember the MU fondly for the relationships that they formed here, the experiences they had, and those Iowa State traditions that are so important. So once we kind of had our heads around the answers to those questions, we asked ourselves, what do we need this campaign to do? So we had to kind of keep ourselves focused, otherwise we would have gone in kind of a million different directions, and we're really trying to bring everything together. So we came up with a list of things that we needed this new campaign to do. And the list it's kind of a demanding list. I'm going to go through it real quickly here. We wanted to be reflective of our multifaceted organization. So we wanted to make sure that people know that we're a building and we're programming and services. We wanted to convey a unified purpose and establish a visual identity for the entire MU, but also that those individual areas, if you imagine like Workspace or MShop, we wanted those individual areas to keep their established identities. We didn't want to take that away from them. We wanted to provide that clear and consistent messaging. We wanted to give students ownership of the MU and keep that memorial part of the MU in the forefront of visitors' minds. And then finally, we wanted to create some room for storytelling and show the value of the MU to those Iowa State students. So that's kind of where our heads were at when we kind of kicked off this thing. And then this is really where I handed off the project to Kenzie. So I'm going to have her talk a little bit about the visual identity piece of the campaign.
Yeah, so it was a little tricky because we have a lot of logos that a lot of our different programs and spaces, and we love them and we like them and they have recognition across campus. So we didn't want to come in and just say, let's redo all the logos and make them all look the same and put them in circles. And so we were trying to think of how we could add to the logo to kind of tie it with the overall head of Memorial Union. And so because all the different logos are different shapes and colors and sizes and styles, it was hard. So because a lot of our messaging has to do with stories, and we're working with students who have a lot to say and a lot of messages, especially with student orgs and clubs. And so we decided to go with the little MU bubble. It's kind of like a speech bubble. And so the flexibility that offered us was we could nest it along, beside, above the different types of logos that we have, like the Workspace. It's really long and skinny, whereas the MShop is like a half circle. And so it allows us the flexibility to be able to go and connect those different audiences back to the MU, because I think a lot of students didn't really recognize that those were all entities that were under that umbrella of the Memorial Union. And so hopefully over time, recognition, it takes a little bit, but I think even without realizing it, they'll start to attribute that little logo at the end of those different spaces back to the MU, because our main logo is also the speech bubble, and it's just flipped a different direction ever so slightly. But yeah, that's kind of how we decided to unite all the different people that are underneath that header. And so it's cool because you can make it different colors. You can tailor it to the different needs of the different people inside the MU. And so it's kind of where we landed. Simple, sweet, easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to when you first presented it in the sunroom to all of our entire staff, and just the excitement everybody had, and how it was such a long process to get to that point. But now that we're there, it's so exciting. And I know you two have put a ton of time and effort into that. So thank you for giving us some of the backstory that has gone into making this happen, because we know it's been a lot of work. So along with some of these new initiatives, can you talk about the impacts that you have seen in engagement as an effect of the new MyMU campaign?
Yeah, it's a little tricky to talk about impact right now, because really we rolled it out in the fall. So we had kind of half of the fall semester to really push it out, and then a little bit of the spring semester before the world came crashing down. So we don't have a lot of great data to show exactly what the impact has been. But what it has given us is exactly what we were looking for, which is some tools and a clear voice to talk about our programs and what we do. So a great example of that is that when everything went virtual and we were trying to figure out a way to talk about all the virtual programming that we were doing, we were able to take that campaign and turn it into the MU2U campaign, which is what we've been doing since spring started. So everything from this video series to some of the other initiatives that other people in our building have been doing, it was easy to take this sort of wrapping paper and put it around all the things that people have been doing, and then present that to the world and make it look really unified and clean. So we've seen really good engagement as far as our MU2U newsletter has been. This video series has been great. Some of the other stuff that we're doing. So it made our jobs easier by having that tool ready to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. We so appreciate your help with the MU2U series, and you guys make everything seem so simple and easy, but I know it's not. So thank you again for everything you've done for this series in specific. How have you guys we're kind of going off the last question a little bit, but how have you continued to engage with people virtually through this campaign? I know you kind of talked about social media, you talked about this series, but maybe Kenzie, dive a little bit more into like some of the social media tactics that you guys have been using through this campaign.
Yeah, so when everything went online, it was kind of like that was the platform to get to our students, right? Because they're not coming into our building, they're not coming into classes or seeing posters or anything. So there's a bit of a challenge because I think that wasn't a heavy priority of ours before everything kind of shut down. It was there and we were doing it, but I don't think it was as consistent. And I think it was a little bit of a learning opportunity. So that was cool. So yeah, we had to get organized and kind of figure out like, okay, the consistency is key, it doesn't have to be every day, it doesn't have to be the same thing every Thursday, but like consistency is key, knowing your platform, knowing what students are wanting out of the different platforms, because they themselves are different in what students are looking for. Because Instagram, right, they're not going to be looking for event invites. Like that's not where you're going to go. You're going to go to Facebook for that. You're not going to go for things that are just very fast and I would say a little more repetitive on like Twitter, like things that are happening in the moment. That's not going to be the same thing that's on Instagram. And so I think it was a test of trial and error for some things. And so you learn like, okay, students are engaging with this, students aren't engaging with this. And it's nice because the different platforms allow you to go in and look at the analytics of like, okay, these are the times that people are looking at our different things. And these are the types of people. And sometimes you're like, well, this one post got like way more likes than this other one. So it's just kind of figuring that out. And you're working with limited photography because you're not on campus. I'm not on campus. And so a lot of that was a bit of a challenge, but it's been fun to figure that out. There's been a lot of different things that have come our way that we had to kind of figure out like, okay, how do we handle this one thing that's happening in the world? How do we engage with students with this thing? And so it's been cool and good. And I think it'll help us way more when we get into the fall and like whatever that looks like as far as events. Like I think that's a platform that we can use to better advertise that we weren't utilizing as much before. But yeah, social media, it's a beast. It's a fun beast. But yeah.
Yes. So if student orgs or university departments on campus are looking for assistance, whether that is creating graphics or promoting events, how can you all help support them?
So that's another thing that we've been working on for a while that I think we're excited to roll out in the fall. We are going to offer our design services out to student orgs and Iowa State departments. So you should be able to go to our website and look for MU Design Services, and you can find more information about that. But really the bottom line is if that's something you're interested in, you can email mugraphics@iostate.edu and tell us what you're looking for, and we can give you an estimate and an idea of time and turnaround and kind of walk you through the process. But yeah, we're excited to open that up to everyone beyond just the MU.
That's so exciting. I forgot about that, and this is the perfect time to tell everybody. Yay! So to kind of finish this up, do you guys have any advice or tips and tricks on how to promote events or just promote yourselves on social media, on other platforms? Just any advice you have for students?
Yeah. Well, we have plenty of advertising opportunities just within our building, right? We're going to have digital screens that we can have advertising opportunities. We have table tents. We have the flyer distribution that we take all these posters and flyers to everywhere on campus, and it's one of the few opportunities I think that you have to just get in front of the students really well where they're at. And so that's really a good opportunity. A lot of those are really low cost or available to you for free on a lot of factors, but there's something there that any price range can accommodate or not. And so I think that's a really good opportunity. And I think, social media is king in a lot of ways, right? There's ways you can advertise, paid advertisement on your social media platforms, just in general is really good. Making sure you have an event on Facebook, just like a real practical tip. I think some people miss that, and then people go to look up what's happening and all they have is that one poster to go off of, and it's really helpful to remind them when it's happening. Like that, I forget about things all the time, so if it's in my calendar, I'm going to remember that much more, right? So those are good options. I think clubs like Dance Marathon are really cool because they are just out there promoting their platform. They're out there meeting face to face. It's well known what they're doing, and they're doing it a lot of really cool ways. They're not just putting up one picture, advertising for an event, and calling it good. They're in your face in different ways. They're promoting leading up to the event. They're giving out things that hype you up and make you reshare things. And I think they're a really good example of a student org to look at to say like, oh, these people are doing it really well. They know what they're doing, and they're obviously successful. And so I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Kristen, but.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. This has been so insightful and so great to hear more about the story of the Memorial Union and how we're trying to tell that story through the new brand that we have. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing everyone next week on the MUTU.